Hello colleagues. It's nice to know that my humble channel benefits you. That is why if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe. Received in the mail from the user BJD received the message, I was so impressed about Flippa, I joined the site. I want to buy a website, can I get your advice? It seemed to me that the logic of the purchase is simple and clear. You set your interests and opportunities in the filter and choose a site for the purchase. But, I was wrong. If there is such a question, then there is no transparency, and today we will try to figure it out. How to choose an interesting project to buy, and what do you need to know when buying a site? Learning to buy websites. Let's try to place a bet, and if we win something, there will be content for the next video. Let's go. Budget. Before starting the search, you need to determine the allowable budget for the buy of the project. We will enter this parameter into the filter to filter out sites with large budgets. Depending on how you feel about risks, you can increase this budget in the filter so that you don't miss out on good projects. In my case, I am ready to allocate $300 and a little risk-averse, let it be $500. This is not much, but enough to start your own business. Project type. We need to understand what kind of project we want to buy. Here you need to understand the expertise that you have. If you write articles well, know how to automate this writing, or know who can do it for you for cheap, then you need to choose content sites. If you have some acquaintances in the same industry who sell products from the same industry, then you can think about looking for a marketplace. In our case, let's try to find a SaaS project. Those who do not really understand what this means, write about it in the comments, I will definitely make a video on this topic. Industry. If you have an interest in content sites, then the segmentation by industry is very important because it should be close to your expertise. In our case with SaaS projects, this does not play a big role. Because, in our case, the functionality of the purchased project is important. So, we do not fill it. Business model. For the $500 budget I set earlier, I don't expect a revenue site to be bought. Even if this income is indicated in the site sales card, you should not expect that this is true information. But it's important to understand the possible business models for the type of site you're looking to buy. For different types of businesses, monthly users and monthly page views can be different. At the same time, businesses can generate similar revenue. In the case of SaaS projects, these parameters are less important than with marketplaces or content sites. So, we set some small values. We check the result. As a result of installing our filters, only 3 sites were returned. This is because not all projects bother to install Google Analytics, which confirms this attendance. If we remove the parameter of monthly users, we get the result of 18 sites for sale. At this point, we got a starting point for further analysis. The first step I would recommend is to open each website and familiarize yourself with its content. Sites may not work. Or you can understand that the seller simply sets up a ready-made project engine on the domain, and sells it as a ready-made site. First, let's open the found 3 sites with Google Analytics. URLminder.com, I was confused by the lack of internal pages on the site, there is also no demo mode. It is unlikely that this site was dealt with at least somehow seriously, and it is not at all clear how it was possible to sell something through this site. If the income statistics are true, then this is some kind of direct sale. SEOcerti.com, there is a relinking of pages, but the transition to a page with a 404 error does not speak well for the support of the project. Especially in the SEO industry. Searching the site, I did not find information about the technology of the project. This project is more like a site offering SEO optimization services. Obviously, the site was added to the wrong category. Tools for SEO activity is generally such an area where good technical support is always needed. Because this area is very changeable and technological. OCCtus.com, I was generally met by a stub from the MetaMask crypto wallet stating that there are scammers on this domain. Let's check the domain on archive.org and see that the domain has no history and hasn't been indexed. We can conclude that the domain is already using technologies and scripts of some ready-made services. Having opened the page without interacting with the crypto wallet, we see information about the service. After looking at the HTML code of the page, we are looking for links to external sites. So, according to my hypothesis, we can find the source of the service being sold. You can make it easier and use some third-party service for analysis, for example, smallziotools.com. In the code, we find a link to another website, which is very like our service. Having tried to go to the main domain radiantthemes.com, we get information about a certain service company that sells its ready-made solutions. Judging by the fact that prices from this company start from $200, our site for sale is unlikely ordered from the company directly. Most likely, someone involved in a similar project just copied the scripts. The owner of our site for sale is either a programmer who copied these scripts or ordered a project from a similar programmer. In general, we note this project for ourselves to analyze it at the next stage. Studying the HTML code of sites is a rather interesting activity. It can often give interesting inside information. Let me know if this theme is interesting, and we will definitely reveal this topic in more detail. Similarly, we will find a few more projects by looking at 18 projects that do not give statistics on users. Most of the sites studied, unfortunately, are not pure SaaS projects. They are ordinary service companies, and for this, to serve such a business, you need to have the appropriate expertise. Also, the task is not to buy a job and operational activities, but to buy a project that we would serve only with support. Also, remember that you may not be able to select or win a good project all at once. Repeat the check every 2 to 3 weeks and you will be successful. So, we have received a list of projects that we are ready to deal with and develop as a business. Next, we study the card of each project and its real characteristics. In this part, I will say that you can study in detail and superficially. A detailed study implies various methods and services for analysis, both paid and free. Today we will do a superficial study. What should I pay attention to in this part? Income. It must be confirmed by screenshots in the project card. If there are no screenshots, then you should be skeptical about the numbers on the card. In general, any additional screenshots and documents regarding the project are a plus. But sellers, when selling low-cost projects, are often forgotten about that. Related assets. If the project sells accounts in social networks associated with the project, then this is a plus. If the accounts are not empty, and consistently had some kind of content strategy, then with 2 pluses. Description. In the description, we find information about what we could miss when visually familiarizing the site for sale. Name of the project. Often, in the cards they write the estimated value of the domain name. This is not an aim parameter, you should not react to it somehow. The main thing is that it should not be long, and when pronounced so people can understand how to write it. SEMrush. Next, we will use the SEMrush service to assess the site traffic and site health for search engines. The service is paid, but you can adapt to using it to check a small number of sites. Or we buy a report with these indicators for each site for $10. Earlier, I made a video with an example of such a report. When checking, the site shouldn't have 0 indicators, like most of the checked sites in the screenshots. Hidden costs. It's worth asking leading questions because there may be opaque hidden costs that the seller may simply forget to inform. And the functionality that you expect to buy works with external paid services, as is the case with the project that I liked. What is the result? From the analyzed list, I liked only one site, semmonks.com. I liked the functionality that I could use in my activity. I make the bet even though the reserve price is way above my budget. Judging by what we analyzed in SEMrush, the site has no organic traffic, so the income information is unlikely to be true. And, so, the seller may well agree to the sale of the project or its scripts. Also, it would be interesting for a novice entrepreneur to buy workio.com. The scripts of this project could be adapted to their region, but a cursory study shows that there are cheaper analogs on CodeCanyon. What else? The methods described above are suitable for buying inexpensive projects to start an online business. But approaches for evaluation and analysis may depend on the cost of the project. For example, more expensive projects imply a more detailed study of the revenue side. We just skip this part, and we treat it in such a way that if it exists is already good. Keep this moment in mind. Peace.